Oi galera, tudo bem com vocês? Eu sou a Bianca, bem-vindo ao meu canal e hoje a minha mãe e eu ainda estamos em Austin, Texas, mas a gente vai viajar para San Antonio, Texas, então tudo que eu vou fazer lá em San Antonio vai ser nesse vídeo. Se vocês querem ver tudo que eu vou fazer em Austin, Texas, só ver o outro vídeo antes desse. Então eu e minha mãe vamos lá para San Antonio e tudo que eu faço lá eu vou filmando para vocês. Espero que vocês gostem desse vlog. Então galera, a gente já tá aqui em San Antonio e a gente vai entrar nesse prédio e fazer uma coisa lá, não sei exatamente o que, mas quando eu entrar eu mostro tudo lá dentro pra vocês. Então eu entrei nesse prédio, isso. Então a gente chegou nesse prédio e tem tudo isso, a gente tá aqui fora. E lá tem cactos que eu vou te mostrar. Eu amo cactos, então cada cactus que eu ver eu vou te mostrar. Eu acabei de fazer uma moeda nessa máquina e eu mostro depois os quais que eu ganhei. Essas são as moedas que eu ganhei da máquina. Eu queria outros dois, um que dizia San Antonio e um outro com uma pessoa num cavalo que diz Texas, mas eu ganhei essas duas, mas são bonitas iguais. Então essas são o que eu ganhei da máquina. Aqui nesse lugar tem esses peixes. Esses peixes chineses, né? Gostei desse laranjão aqui, ó. Ele fica me olhando e botando a cara pra fora. Também legalzinho com esse riozinho com esses peixes. Cactus que eu amo muito. Mais um cactus. Vou mostrar todos os cactus que eu amo. Eles têm rosas, e rosa é a minha flor preferida, porque é do mês que eu nasci, em junho, e é tão linda. E também tem essa florzinha. A gente tá num lugar com essas estátuas registradas e com as bandeiras. Então, vamos olhando essas estátuas. Então galera, eu tô aqui nesse lugar em San Antonio, que é na beira do rio. Pode fazer um tour em barco no rio e ele vai falando sobre as coisas. Tem restaurantes, lojinhas. Então tô aqui agora e eu filmo o que eu vou fazer aqui. No lugar que eu tô tem patos. Aqui é o rio, aqui são as lojinhas, a comida e tal, e aqui tem patos, vários patinhos, então comidas, lojas, passeios, então tô aqui passeando, curtindo o dia, e não tá tão frio aqui, eu tô de boa, mas aqui é o rio. Olha os patinhos, que fofinhos, estão nadando aqui pra mim ver. Eles querem me ver, então eles vêm pra cá. Olá, patinhos! Agora eu tô aqui nessa ponte e olha que linda a vista daqui de cima. Essa vista desse lado e daí desse lado. Os patinhos, que fofos. Patinhos. Patinhos, alô. Olá, patinho. Eu vou te chamar de Patolino. Tudo bem se eu te chamar de Patolino?
Ai, você também não Starbucks.
Tem um branco ali, ó, no fundo. Olá, patinho. Tudo bem? E tem um nadando aqui. Olha, tem patinhos com filhote. Olha que fofinho. Patinhos, que fofo. Ai, que fofinho.
Moving on to other parts of San Antonio. During the siege of Alamo, Santa Ana had a staging area there as well as a cannon line, and some folks report or suggest that that rock wall that's ahead of us, just over the retaining wall perhaps, was built upon one of the ramparts from which some of those cannons may have fired. Barco is now a haven for artists and craftsmen, great places to dine, very eclectic shops, and also the home of the Austin River Theater, 800-seat amphitheater sitting on the left, stage on the right, finished in 1941 by the Works Club. As we go around the front of the stage, we go up behind the stage, you're going to see 5 bells, one for each of the missions that make up the World Heritage Site here in San Antonio. They're on the World Heritage Site in Texas, one of 23 in the nation. That middle bell is dedicated to Robert Hugman. He was 27 when he started drawing plans for this park. In 1980, we recognized his genius by naming him the father of the River Walk. Ahead of us, you see that sculpture that looks like cattle being driven up and out of the water. That is Coming Home to Briscoe. The Art Deco building in front of it is the Briscoe Western Art Museum. That building opened in 1930 as the second home to the Free Public Library. The library moved downstream in '68, and then the Hertzberg Circus Museum moved in. They were there until 2001. The Briscoe opened in 2013. It's named in honor of the late Governor Dolph and his First Lady, Jamie Briscoe. Do any of you know how it came to be known as San Antonio? There ain't that oversight in the otherwise well-rounded educational experience. If you come under Preston Street Bridge, out from under Preston Street Bridge, and head on our starboard, you're going to see an island with a sculpture on it. The sculpture, you can just see over the floor out there on our right. The island is Massenet's Island. The sculpture is Massenet's Table. There on June the 13th, 1691, that Father Damien Massenet celebrated the first Mass in this area. because June the 13th is the feast day of San Antonio de Padua. We've been known as San Antonio ever since. That beautiful heart-shaped island is often referred to as Marriage Island. We have about 300 weddings a year that take place there. It's said if you get married on Marriage Island that there's luck in your union. I have one friend that tried that 4 different times on that particular island. You might have seen him running around town saying, "Remember the alimony." That one I catch up with you about 2 in the morning. Looking out from under the Navarro Street Bridge here, at Helmar Port, you're going to see a beautiful red sandstone onion dome tower that will be part of the Bexar County Courthouse. Opened in 1897, from that day to this, it's been a seat of law and justice for the people of Bexar County. It stands on the main plaza, San Antonio. The original main plaza of San Antonio, the original square. Also the main plaza is San Fernando Cathedral, whose cornerstone was laid in 1738. It was in that cathedral that Jim Bowie, one of the commanders of Alamo, was married. The place where he and the other defenders of Alamo was fed. To our left, the port side, 402 feet in the base of that flagpole, through the story tall neo-Gothic architecture of the Tower Life building. When it was being constructed in the 20s, it was known as the Smith-Young building. The builders, they wanted protection against bad luck and against bad business, so they put gargoyles on the top 2 tiers of the Octagon State Tower and grotesques between the first and second stories here on our left. At a cost of $3 million, this building opened on June 1st, 1929. A mere 5 months later, October the 29th, 1929, the stock market crashed. So much for good luck. The builders were overextended in building this building, as well as other investments, went bankrupt, could not pay the taxes when they came due. Therefore, that building sold at auction for those back taxes and brought in about 10 cents on the dollar. Not exactly the return on investment anybody would hope to see. Now, typically, we don't turn around here, but if you'll look under that bridge and under the next bridge, the archway down there, that is the flood control channel. About 3 weeks ago, flood control gate number 5, which is just south of us, malfunctioned, and it emptied all the water out of the horseshoe. Now, unfortunately, we have flood control gates that could be raised back up, and they pumped enough water back in here, but there's still about a 5-foot drop between this part of the river and that part of the river, and my supervisors have absolutely no sense of adventure and will not let me jump it. I'm thinking one time I know how to drive in the flood control channel. I know it can't be that far, but no, boy, listen, folks, no sense of humor either. So we get to see some of the river twice. Beautiful. It's pretty any time of year, but when the lights come on, which will be open for another couple of weeks. It's spectacular. This Navarro Street Bridge covers a part of the San Antonio River, once known as the Old Mill Crossing. For years, it was the widest and the shallowest part of the San Antonio River, so it was the most easily to cross. When Teddy Roosevelt and his Rough Riders were here training for the Spanish-American War, they frequently crossed the San Antonio River at the Old Mill Crossing. San Antonio is home to 4 of the few remaining cast iron bridges in the nation. You get to go under Mustard Street again, which happens to be one of those cast iron bridges, with the cast iron metal bridge on the southern side of the street level. This bridge was built in 1890 Berlin, Connecticut. Berlin Iron Bridge Company, East Berlin, Connecticut, to be exact, or more exact. I've actually nicknamed that bridge Bruiser. So close to the water. If I'm making this calculation, that's going to leave such a point. I actually had a full head of hair when I first had this job, but that one kept me pretty close. We're going to go back through the Arlington River Theater. We're going to enter under the bridge, the same bridge under which we passed when we left. And that bridge is known as Rosita's Bridge, in honor of Rosita Fernandez, who for over 25 years started the annual summer play Fiesta Noche del Rio, a play that is still produced at the Summer of Austin. This is a blood movie summer since 1967 with the exception of this past summer. But we expect them to be back to the 2021 season. Now, mostly had a surprise boat wreck for you, but all the paperwork takes all the fun out of it. So if it's not with you, I won't ram under this into this boat. That'll be okay with you. Come around the curve and we'll be right back at the dock. Now I want to keep going. Do any of you guys want to stop? You just want to keep going? You guys are awesome, I promise. You guys are awesome. As we come around the curve here, if you look over the bridge, there's a next bridge. Up on the street level, you're going to see an orange reddish orange sculpture. That is the Port of Friendship, one of the many pieces of something right here in San Antonio. That's the piece. This is a gift from the people of Mexico to the people of San Antonio. This was designed and created by the Mexican artist Sebastian and built on site inspection in 2002. The World Fair changed San Antonio. That event really changed San Antonio's trajectory for since that time to now. But in preparation for it, it was quickly agreed that the Riverwalk would be a part of that celebration. They made the man-made extension that ran the route for about a dinner to connect the Riverwalk to the fairground. Man-made extension is 4.5 feet deep. It's all concrete bottom. The man-made extension because it extends the San Antonio River, and it's man-made. You're welcome. I agree, young man. I'm glad you agree with me. They come out from under the Alamo Street Bridge, but now this will be the Marriott River Walk in 1979. To the left of the Marriott River Center in 1988. Before they built the Marriott River Center, they were coming back to that location since 1906. Its historic standing foundation for being torn down, even though it was a derelict building at the time. To renovate it to make it part of the Marriott family was not in their business plan, so they took the only option left. They moved it. In 1985, after 5 years of study, they jacked up that 16,000-ton building, put it on the flatbed truck with pneumatic tires, and over the next 6 days, moved it 4 blocks to the corner of Nuevo and South Alamo Streets, where it stands at this moment. The Guinness Book of World Records has recognized the move of the Fremont as the largest building moved on pneumatic tires. To our right and way up, 750-foot tall Tower of the Americas, centerpiece of the 1968 World's Fair. At the top of it is the Chart House restaurant that makes one complete revolution every hour. And that's fast enough to have a nice meal, see all of San Antonio and its environs, but not so fast that you need a Dramamine for dessert. Just below the restaurant is an observation deck, and for $12 you can ride a glass panel elevator all the way up to an observation deck. Or you can take the stairs. There's only 952 of them. In 1981, the record for climbing those stairs from the ground to that observation deck was set at 5 minutes, 18 seconds. I'll never do that again. Headed into the River Center section of the man-made extension, finished in 1988, so it's the newest part of the man-made extension, and it's not the newest part of the Riverwalk. That distinction belongs. This is the Go Real Dock. It's really the same tour route, just different pick up and drop off spots. Like Captain Jason's about the cat dog. Take on the tour here. Let's get let's wait everybody on this boat, shall we? Hey guys, how you doing? Good to see you. We'll see you on the river, all right? Y'all got a great captain. Those are actually tourists in their native habitat. The ones that wave, they are the penguins. They usually don't bite. Just remind you, you need to be wearing your mask the whole cruise, please. That's to protect everybody. This is the lagoon at the Shops at River Center, second largest mall in San Antonio. About 1 million square feet of dining, entertainment, and credit card exercising locations. 100 shops over 4 floors, 20 or so restaurants, 2 movie theaters, one of which just happens to be an IMAX. Is everybody comfortable? Any questions, observations? Fruit trees. Right now, a lot of fruit trees on the wall. Apples, right ahead of us, a lush green tree with oranges on it. Well, that's an orange tree. Now, earlier today, Drake and Miller, my duck friends, were actually in that tree trying to pick those oranges. Not only is it illegal, they didn't have any way to carry them. So I asked them, even if you could pick those oranges, you're not going to raise them, how you going to carry them? Billy looked at me and said, we're just going to wing it. That's the first, but not the worst, folks. Just let you know. And this next tree is a lemon tree, and so help me, the lemons are all the size of the oranges. Now, last year at this time, a cat got loose and ate about half of those lemons. The real final flip after that. 1968, the World's Fair came to San Antonio. That event set us on a trajectory to which we've been following the last 50 years. Back then, people were preparing to welcome a million new neighbors in the next decade. But in preparation for the World's Fair, we realized we didn't have enough hotel rooms. Never needed many hotel rooms. Suddenly the world is a historic building. You see, the original contractor had gone bankrupt. And within a year of the opening day to the World's Fair, construction had not begun on that huge building. When Conrad Hilton one of those rooms, San Antonio needed them, so they went looking for someone who could build a huge building in an even bigger hurry. The Teaxes-Andei company, a local construction firm, said, we'll build it for you. Not only that, we'll have it ready in time for the World's Fair, but if we don't, you pay us $1 and we'll be absolutely even. Conrad Hilton knew a good thing when he heard it and gave the contract. August 1967, the Teaxes-Andei company came on site and started building the first 4 floors, including elevator stacks. The thing got about 7.5 miles south of San Antonio, where the construction got set up. They really not even the floors they had there. And about 6 years of uniform, there were the rooms. They painted those rooms, put carpet down, banded the carpet, sheets on the bed, men for the pillows. Art on the wall, lamps on the nightstand, bulbs on the lamps, soap in the dishes, they hung towels from the racks. Had those rooms entirely kitted out, ready to go, with the exception of the televisions, because some of us were old enough to remember back then, the televisions were about the size of Buicks. But nonetheless, they sealed up those rooms, put them on a flat bed truck, and brought them up here. Over the next 42 days, with the help of the plane, the panel will actually precisely choose exactly where to go. Each of those rooms, they completed the Blanchfield Del Rio Hotel in 202 working days, start to finish. The first modular building in the history of the world, and according to the Guinness Book of World Records, the largest building built in the shortest amount of time. The Teaxes-Andei company managed to get that building open on April the 4th, 1968. The World's Fair opened on April the 6th, 1968, to beat the deadline by less than 48 hours. So it cost Conrad Hilton just a little more than $1, but he got a historic building out of it. Doesn't matter what they order, they never pay for it. That got old rather quickly, so I asked him, I said, look, when I go out to eat, I eat, and I pay, I don't eat. You guys eat, never pay, and you keep eating. How do you do that? Both of them looked at me kind of stunned and said, well, Mitch, we don't pay, we just don't put it on our bills. Actually, the restaurant is Casa Rio. In 1946, they were the first to offer riverside dining. They were also the first to offer riverboat rides. Now, that was the first time it was on the cold. Now, I really can't tell you folks how happy I am that you're on that. I'm going to go use that over. About another All the light paintings, magnolias, the live oak. We're going to go under across the street and next to the bridge. Turn north. If we do so, you're going to notice quite a precipitous drop in the noise level. We're leaving one of the loud areas of the Riverwalk by design, actually. The husband designed it for there to be loud spots, retail areas. Several restaurants between here and Pleasanton Gate number 3. Nonetheless, quieter the next bridge under which we will enter is another Devon Street bridge. We're actually going to turn around as we come out from the bridge again. I'm going to ask you to give your attention to the building on our left and look all the way to the top of that building as we come out from under this bridge for a magic optical illusion. Focus on the building to our left, all the way to the top. Looks like a flat wall instead of a full building. The reason being the next hospital was built on Teaxes-Andei on the Florida Street corner. When the hospital opened in 1930, it was the first full-service hospital in Texas, one of the first in the nation. It had improvements in it like valet parking, which was fully air conditioned. Unfortunately, it's now just fully air conditioned. As the hospital closed just about the time COVID hit. Ahead of us, the Hyatt Regency Hotel, 16 stories tall, opened in 1981. My friends, if you're ever fortunate enough to stay in the Hyatt Regency in a room overlooking the river, seriously consider closing your curtains after dark. You'll be surprised what boat captains get to see coming down a river after dark. Things you cannot unsee if you're filming it. 16 stories, much shorter than many of the other hotels in the area. The reason being, where it getting taller at certain times of the year, it would cast a shadow down low. San Antonio has an ordinance forbidding any building from casting a shadow down low. So that's about 16 stories, we focus on the lobby and the atrium. You'll walk through that lobby on the steps on the other side, we'll do the rest in front, the Alamo. On our right, the Casino Club building finished in 1927. The club disbanded in business that's been together for about a century. The building maintained the time until in 1970 it was renovated as a restaurant retail space on the first 2 floors of the Barco apartment. Alex Taylor, who wrote the world famous novel Root, was one of the tenants of the Casino Club building. port. Got another vantage point of a beautiful Ports of Friendship. All right, it's the Clifford building here on the right. It was one of the first buildings, if not the first building on the river. And then it was known as the Riverside Building, and what you would have seen right here is nothing but the building and the river. It didn't even have a back door until the Riverwalk opened in 1941, and it was finished in the 1890s. Well, folks, we've made the big circle. We'll be docking here in just a few moments. So please remain seated until I get us firmly tied back at the dock. Look around you to make sure that if you brought it with you, you take it with you. Hats and coats, scarves and glasses, trash and drink receptacles, sunglasses and cameras, small children, spouses, grandparents, aunts and uncles, nieces and nephews, in-laws, outlaws, and of course those beloved ex-laws. Now, if you were to have to leave something on my boat, we do have a wonderful, often found website. It's called www.ebay.com. I'll be on the dock if you have any questions. Want to know how to get back some of the places we talked about or someplace else here in San Antonio? See you.
Então, galera, esse foi meu passeio lá em San Antonio, Texas. Comenta aqui embaixo qual foi a sua parte favorita. Espero que vocês tenham gostado. Se você gostou, dá um like. Não esquece de inscrever no meu canal, clicar no sininho para não perder nenhum vídeo meu, comentar aqui embaixo e me seguir nas minhas redes sociais que vão estar aqui no final do vídeo. Um grande beijo para todos vocês. Tchau, até o próximo vídeo.